Okay, cool. So what we're going to go through here is a little presentation on body transformations, some of the mindset and stuff around body transformations and stuff like that.
Yep.
And we're going to go through that. There'll be a couple of points where we can stop and reflect. And if you've got any questions at the end, we can go through that, all right?
Sound.
So I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, got it?
Yep.
Cool. So your dream transformation without the setbacks, pitfalls, or overwhelm. Okay. The problem is pretty obvious. Starting a transformation can be hard, and finishing a transformation can be even harder. Right? You can get overwhelmed trying to do too much too soon. That can leave you feeling frustrated, maybe not good enough. And there's a possibility that it feels like a failed attempt very early on in the process because you've just tried to do far too much too soon. So what we need to do is actually layer on habits. We need to obviously give you a starting point, a great starting point that we've got in your program, Chelsea, but we still need to layer on as we go through rather than giving you absolutely everything at once, even when we're going for a big transformation, right? Because if there's too much too soon, there is that risk that you feel like a failure when it's too much and you can't do it all at the start. You can find yourself pushing unrealistically and unnecessarily hard, right? So this is going to be very person specific. For someone like yourself, we've got a real pretty advanced program. For other people, their program is going to be more geared towards a beginner, potentially more geared towards fat loss and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're a wee bit more advanced, so we can probably push you a little bit harder. But for a lot of people, yeah, you did. So, but for a lot of people, pushing themselves too hard too soon is a mistake, right? For some people, they're going to be sore for days, which you're feeling a little bit, but you've been there before.
Yeah.
And it's going to put them out of action for too long. They're not going to be able to follow my program. Then they start feeling bad because they're not following the program the way I've laid it out. It could possibly hinder their day-to-day life. Because they literally can't walk. Okay, and there's a possible risk of injury, but we try to obviously avoid that. You find yourself adopting the all or nothing mentality with your food. Now, this is a massive problem for most people, particularly people who are really having a tough time managing their body weight and their body composition. So maybe more so people who are coming for fat loss because they're overweight.
Yep.
They find themselves in the classic all or nothing mentality. Someone coming in. Kel, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for joining while you're at work, mate.
Right.
We're in this presentation about starting a transformation, and we'll just get straight into it. All right, so stick yourself on mute and we'll go through. We'll get any questions off you at the end. All right? Cool. So you find yourself adopting the all or nothing mentality with your food. As I said, that can be a big problem for people who are really having a tough time managing their body weight. What we see with people like that is that they have that all or nothing mentality when it comes to every aspect of health and fitness. And what that means is that they're either on a health kick and they're watching what they eat and they're training really, really hard, possibly too hard, or they're not training at all and they're eating whatever they like when they like, right? That's what we call the all or nothing mentality, or the all in, all out mentality, right? Very, very dangerous, because if you're not training, you're not burning any calories. And if because you're not training, you're not watching what you're eating, you're consuming far too many calories, right? So it's a very dangerous approach. It's the approach that most people have, right? Which is why they end up in such a mess. And there'll be times where we need to be really tight with the food. And there's other times when we can be a bit slacker. Maybe we're just trying to maintain our body weight and that sort of thing. But definitely need to stay away from the all in or all out, or all or nothing mentality when it comes to this. Okay, it's meant to be a lifestyle, and it won't last if it's not. So there needs to be some lifestyle changes there. You have all the motivation at the start, but it starts to fade after life gets in the way. If I had £1 for every time I've seen this, I'd be pretty wealthy, right? We see this all the time. This is ongoing at the moment. You know, people have got all the motivation to start, but once they've had that little bit of weight loss or fat loss, the body starts to slow, it starts to stall, their fat loss maybe starts to stall a wee bit. Maybe they've had some good results early on, but now it's getting harder to push, and we start making excuses because our mind is trying to trick us into just going back to the way we were and finding that balance again, right? And so anything that pops up in life, I'm busy at work, I've got stress, I've got this going on, the kids are doing my nutting. At that point, after that initial phase where all the motivations ran out, you'll find any excuse, won't you? Know what I mean? So you're going to, when you're in that position, you're going to have to constantly restart over, and everybody's waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the stress to leave their life, waiting for work to quieten down, whatever it is, waiting for a perfect storm so that they can make this transformation. It's not going to work, right? You compare yourself to where you used to be or other people that make it seem easy, okay? Comparison will kill your enjoyment, drive as well, all right? You must not compare yourself to other people. You can have people that you can have look at and say, that's my end goal, that's what I want to look like. But you must not compare yourself to them on a regular basis or on a day-to-day basis, or to other people in the gym or what other people are doing. You cannot do that. Never. All right? This is you versus you. It's about being better than you were yesterday, being better than you were last week. And when you get into that mindset and adopt this life, pretty soon, that person that you were comparing yourself against, you will go past them. Right? I can promise you that. You've got 2 arms and 2 legs just like they do, and you will go past them. Right? So you mustn't compare yourself to other people. When you get it right, you will achieve your dream body, be able to follow through even when hit with challenge. You'll enjoy the process and realize that this doesn't have to be painful, okay? Healthy eating, training and routines will no longer seem like a chore because you've not overwhelmed yourself. right? We spoke about overwhelm earlier on. You've got it just right. You've got the right balance in your life, and you can manage this long term. All right. We know we need to be in this game long term. All right. It's not just about what happens in the next 12 weeks. Right. People will admire you for how you look, act, and think. Guaranteed they will. Some people will be jealous. Right. A couple of people close to you might start to get a wee bit uncomfortable with you. Right. Because you're doing this for you. You're not really interested in what anyone else thinks. You're improving on a weekly basis, and other people aren't they? Right? And it makes them feel uncomfortable. And if it makes them feel really uncomfortable and they're holding you back, then there's an unfortunate truth there that they shouldn't really be in your life. All right? You're ahead of others. You've got more energy. You're making the right decisions. And you can be a source of inspiration for your loved ones. But you also need to protect your energy. And if they're holding you back, well, it's not really that ideal, is it? You'll prove to yourself that you're able to do this and have unstoppable confidence in all other areas of life. 100%. Right? It will seep into every aspect of your life. And I know this because I'm talking from personal experience, that you will 10x in every other area of your life when you go through this transformation. Like, it's hard to explain, but when you've been through a real hard transformation and it's been long and challenging, and you've week on week had to say to yourself, no, I choose this life, not this life. I choose to go here and not go back to my old self. I'll keep pushing. I'll keep tracking my calories. I'll keep doing the work. I'll keep training like an animal. And the body's like, oh, this is starting to get a bit tiring, man. This is a struggle. You know what I mean? Going to bed a little bit hungry each night. But when you push through and you just choose, and you have to make this conscious, these will be conscious decisions probably on a fucking daily basis for some of you who are at sharp end of fat loss phases, is continuing to choose that. Right? You're going to be presented with a crossroads many times during the week, and you have to keep choosing. No, I choose the transformed version of myself. I don't want to be my old self. I keep digging in and keep digging in and keep digging in and keep digging in. How much after that transformation, when you look like a different person, how much do you think you'll respect yourself? Right? You're going to completely respect yourself. You're going to completely value yourself. You're going to also know that you can do anything because you've just fucking done something that was really fucking hard. Right? And it's going to make you feel like any challenges in the future are a breeze because you trust yourself. You keep promises to yourself. Right? You're not too worried about what everyone else is doing because you know that you can trust yourself and you know that you won't let yourself down. Right? And you'll finally have the clarity and certainty for this to be part of your life, to be in place no matter what comes up. Right? So that's kind of going back to what we spoke about, that this journey in fitness and training will be a part of your life always, right? And you don't need to ever worry about going back to your old self because it's always going to be part of your life, right? And if we can get through and continue to do what we need to do during the most stressful and busiest periods of our life, then we can do it during the easiest parts, right? So anytime you see someone who's waiting, I'll start next month. Uni finishes for the summer. I'll start next month. Then it'll be fine. Then I'll be able to get my teeth into it. Or work will quieten down a couple of months and then I'll start. Well, there'll always be busy periods where work will get busy again, right? But if we can do it in the hardest part, then we know we're a winner, right? Okay. Not too much, not too little, just the right amount of work, okay? So, starting a transformation is like a new job, right? Probably harder than starting a new job. There's a lot to set up. Training, food, time management. There's a lot of things that you need to learn. How to train. Exercise execution, which is important. Aspects of cooking, right? Some people are rubbish cooks when they start, right? And a big thing for them is going to be that they might need to learn a wee bit of cooking to help them along this journey. And making it all fit together. At the start, it's going to take a lot more focus and energy, right? Especially if we're going for a big transformation. Might take you longer to do your first ever meal prep if you're meal prepping, but once you've done it, it'll be easy, right? You'll know exactly what to do and do it in half the time that you used to do it. Everything gets easier over time, right? With practice, repetition, and habit. Can you see yourself sticking to this a year from now? Okay. And I don't mean sticking to necessarily the plan that you're on, right? For the likes of Kyle, who's been in a fat loss for a long time, fat loss phase for a long time, I don't mean necessarily sticking to a long slog fat loss phase, but I just mean in terms of training, managing your food, whether we're bulking or we're lean bulking or cutting, whatever we're doing. Can you see yourself sticking to this for the rest of your life? All right. If we build the habits in layer by layer, then it should be more manageable and you won't burn out and you'll enjoy it more. There's an optimal level of work, and what you've done in the past is that you've maybe changed too much too quick and then it falls flat on its face, right? We want to do one thing at a time. We want to give ourselves the patience so that we get the whelm just right, okay? This journey is about patience. This is a game of patience, right? Patience is a skill that you're going to have to master if we're going to get the kind of transformation that we've never been able to get before. Everyone started diets before. Everyone started training before, right? But like I said earlier on, it's hard to start a transformation. It's even harder to finish one, right? At the same time, we're here to get exceptional results, okay? And whilst we need to layer on habits week by week, it's still my job as a coach to make sure that you're getting phenomenal results pretty much from the get-go, right? And Kyle, you've been in the team a long time. You know how much I focus on measuring what we're getting, sort of week by week, making sure that you're getting results. Because if you're not seeing any results, what's the point, right? Everyone is here for results. And you should see them fairly quickly. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like that, oh, you know, don't look for results too soon. Well, if you're training hard and you're doing everything right, you should start to see some results pretty quick, right? And if you don't, how are you going to continue? You're putting in all this work and you're not seeing results. Who's going to continue with that? No one, right? Who would keep going if they're not seeing results? The whole point is to see fucking results, right? So we want to see results early on, and you can start to see changes in your physique, energy, strength, fitness, and clarity. All right, so it's not just obviously all about the cosmetic, although that's a big part of it, and it's a big part of it for a lot of people. Shifting up the gears. Okay, we don't want to think of our journey as all or nothing, as we've spoke about before. That you have to do everything, that you have to be perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. I'm far from perfect with my food, right? But I don't stop training, that's for sure. I don't take the all in or all out mentality, right? It's more fluid than that. There'll be times where you'll do less, be more relaxed, and then there'll be times, possibly before a holiday, where you're going to ramp things up and put more effort into your training. And we think of this as shifting up the gears. At the start of your journey, we're going for this big transformation. You've probably sat in a consultation with me and said that you don't particularly like the way you look and you want to look better. And so when we're in this first phase, we're going to shift up the gears massively, but try to give you manageable amounts of work so that we can get the realm just right for you. Week on week, we want to expose ourselves to harder training intensity, okay? And we've got a good system for that inside AS1 with the way we work the rep schemes, making sure that you're challenging yourself and progressing. Being tighter with our food, okay? When people first start, tracking's new to them sometimes, and it can take a wee while to get good at tracking. And you maybe miss a few things, or you miss a few things out here and there, and you can get better and better at that. If you're busy, you might do things like taking a picture of what you had during the day and then filling it in at night, or you might pre-plan before the night before and fill all your food out to your required calories and then just go and eat it the next day so you don't have to think about it, right? Adding an extra routine in. It could be starting a morning routine, putting a new supplement in, or maybe increasing your step count or something like that. Okay. Normalize hurdles along the way and even crave them. Okay. Having that approach allows us to shift down the gears when hurdles come in the way, right? I can tell you that there will be hurdles, right? It won't be a straight line journey. Progress isn't linear. It will be very up and down, hopefully going like that, but up and down still. As I've said, there'll be times you're stressed from work. There'll be times you'll fall sick. There'll be times you'll have personal demands in your own life. There'll be times you're away for a 2-week all-inclusive, right? And you'll be doing the buffet for 2 weeks, right? So we need to come down the gears slightly at some times, right? But we're shifting down the gears. We're not hitting the fuck it button, right? Like your old self. I'm training and I'm dieting, or I'm not training and I'm not dieting. No, we're just shifting down the gears, right? We call this pushing and pulling, all right? I use it a lot when I'm running this business in terms of pushing and pulling, pushing for new clients and then pulling back, because I've got to try and get results for the clients that I've already got. And if I just keep pushing for new clients, then I don't serve the clients I've got that well. So I have to push and I have to pull. And it's the same with training, same with my own training, right? If I'm busy with the clients and maybe I'm trying to get new clients, my training has to get pulled back, right? But it's just shift down the gears. I don't stop training, right? And that's the message we're trying to get across here to you as we go forward. And you don't blame yourself for shifting down the gears. It's all part of a strategy, right? But we don't hit the fuck it button and stop training, right? You should have a set of non-negotiables, which is the things in the daily life that you must do. Okay, so we know we're going to train, even if we're not training at full intensity. For those in a fat loss phase, we know they need a certain of activity outside the gym, so step count and stuff like that. They need to get a certain amount of steps in. Then you get their water and their sleep, right? So they're like your non-negotiables. They're the things that we don't give up on when we're busy, when we're stressed, right? But you can't push every week of the year, and there's nothing wrong with pulling back. We want to do that from time to time. Okay. How are we doing for time? How long have we been on here? 40 minutes? Okay. The importance of standards, right? Having these standards keeps you consistent on the week. Share screen. Okay, where were we? Setting your standards. Okay. The importance of standards. We know a lot of the standards that we work with within the team, right? We're talking about calories, training sessions, hitting your minimum training sessions. For the fat loss clients, we've got to focus on making sure that they've got a step count in place, water, making sure you're drinking enough water, and also trying to make sure that you're getting decent sleep and stuff like that, which we'll see in the check-in forms, all right, talking about sleep and stuff like that. As I said, having these standards keeps you consistent on the weeks that you would have knocked you off in the past. They're manageable. They're just a few core actions that keep you moving closer to your goal or even maintaining, right? Just a few core actions, a few non-negotiables that keeps you moving, getting closer to where you want to be rather than edging further away, right? There is a worksheet that you can get, which I'll share with you if you want, where you can actually look at your standards on a weekly basis and tick them off. I don't think it's necessary for us. We're very tight with the check-in process and covering a lot of that stuff there, but if it's something that you'd like to have for yourself, I'll be sending it out anyway. Other standards. So obviously you can have other standards in your life that you might want to maintain, a certain standard of relationship, a certain standard as a parent, right? That's something that I'm very conscious of because I'm in this business and I've only been in it for like a year and it's still growing. And I'm very conscious about the quality of time that I spend with my little girl because I'm on my phone all the time, right? And time spent in ambiguity with your child is shit, right? Because you're there, but you're not there. So there are other standards that you can hold yourself to as a parent, as a partner, as a family member, whatever it might be. Personal standards for me that I'm trying to improve on this month is just very, very basic in terms of routine in the morning, right? I get up, I try to stay away from my phone. It's not easy, but I try and stay away from my phone and get the day started early. I'll go to the bathroom and I'll splash cold water in my face because that wakes up your body, right? It's a little bit like cold water therapy. And then you can maybe get into some work early on and you'll be surprised about how much more productive you are just by doing stuff like that. So these are the types of standards that I'm trying to set for myself. Chelsea, Kyle, give me a standard that you're going to set for yourself in September, a new standard. Chelsea, you go first.
I don't really have any. I've kind of set standards probably throughout the last year and a half. Realistically, I'd say the only one for me now that's new is to pre-plan all foods, because I'm eating more. I need to think about the fact that I'm eating more and eat the right stuff. So I'm basically planning everything a couple of days in advance now. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Good. Perfect. Thank you. Kyle?
Probably stick to the 4 sessions at the gym, but you know, try and get another couple in, even if it's not a full session. I'm finding a lot of benefit getting up early in the morning now and getting there before work, so achieving a lot more. So even if I'm not doing a full workout, even if I'm still there, you know, just keeping the routine going and just doing part of it, but definitely along those lines, mate.
Okay, good, absolutely. Good. Thank you for that. Okay, the motivation trap. Motivation is finite, right? As your coach wanting the best for you, I've got to tell you that you will not always be motivated. Okay, far from it. Motivation is finite. There'll be times where you need to train and you don't want to. There'll be times where you need to choose a healthier option and you don't want to. There'll be times where you need to go out in your steps in and it's pissing down with rain. Okay? And what we need to remember during these moments is that on the other side of discomfort is where you push through and achieve the real results you really want. And also, you, like we said earlier on about when you dig and dig and dig about how much you fucking respect yourself, you'll think back to that time that you went out and did your steps in the pissing rain. Or that time that you didn't want to go and train legs, but you did it anyway. You got your headphones on, you got your favourite tunes on, and you smashed it. And you start to respect yourself because you know you can keep promises to yourself, right? And as I said earlier on, people who keep promises to themselves, they don't really need to worry about anyone else, right? So I recommend digging into why you're here in those moments where you don't feel like you want to train and become a wee bit more outcome focused. Okay, you can transform yourself and you will. All right. Instead of motivation, think standards, right? Think about the standards that you hold yourself to, those minimum standards that you set for yourself each day, and meet those, okay? Because they'll be helpful when the motivation dries up. And for anyone who's ever dieted for a long time, you know how easy it is to lose that because the mind's trying to trick you, right? Okay, good. Set minimum and maximum commitments each day. We're here to transform ourselves. That requires commitment. Commitment is doing what you said you would long after the mood that you were in when you said it has left. Commit to the future, the results you want to achieve. Okay. There's a little pad on this slide with a to-do list. I've got this. It's a little bit more of a detailed journal or planner. It's broken down into months, weeks, and days. It's honestly the best thing I've ever bought, right? Sometimes getting your thoughts onto paper and writing them out is very, very powerful, okay? I suggest that if you want, you can have a go if you don't already do it. It's very, very powerful, I promise. Okay. Be present in your journey. There's a chance that you've maybe been in great shape before, or that you've achieved a lot of success in other areas in your life, right? Career, sport, all sorts of different areas in life. You might be a high flyer, right? However, at this point in time, you might find it difficult to start over, right? You might find it difficult to make changes in your life that are conflicting with other areas in your life where you're quite successful. Know what I mean? That can lead you to question why you're not able to look or perform like you used to do, or why you're not finding this journey as easy as other parts of your life that come to you really easily, right? We're all stronger in certain areas than others. So be aware of that. So we have to be present in the here and now and not trying to reach for too much too soon. Okay? Just because you're a high flyer and maybe you're really successful or you've got loads of money, right? Money can't buy this journey, right? Not at all. This is blood, sweat, and years, right? There's a lot of folk out there with a shit ton of money that would love this shit, right? But their money can't buy it for them. And even if they went and got lipo or plastic surgery, it still wouldn't be the same, right? And they wouldn't. And if they got lipo and plastic surgery, at the end of it, do you think they would respect themselves? No. Would they fuck? Right? Comparison is the thief of joy. Okay? And in this day and age, you can't blame someone for comparing themselves to other people because it's all around us, right? Instagram, right? I do it as well. I'm just saying that you should try to minimize it and avoid it if you can. All right? It's hard not to, but it's important that you don't. You are you, right? You are you, and that is it. You are unique. You are 1 in 6 billion or whatever it is, and you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. I want you to focus on your journey, not someone else's journey, right? It's hard enough getting over your own hurdles, never mind all the hurdles that are being projected onto you by people around you, right? You've ever been on a diet and you turn up, your mum's like, oh, you look skinny. You look really skinny, right? Happens every time I go on a cut. I go and see my dad, he'll be like, oh, you look fucking skinny, right? And then I'll go in a bulk and I'll turn up and be like, fuck, you've been doing a bit of eating, right? I'm serious, right? You can't, you need, this is your journey, right? People will not understand it. You need to do it for yourself. Focus on what you're doing today, your progress, how much progress you've made this week. Having 1 foot in the present and 1 foot in the future, where you're knowing where you're going, what your targets are, and who you're becoming. Okay? Not looking back or elsewhere, and not comparing yourself to other people. Okay? Celebrating the wins, no matter how small they feel. It is important to celebrate small wins. I'll be celebrating them with you each week when you're checking in and all that sort of stuff. But you need to celebrate all the tiny wins. Sometimes when you're going through a transformation and we're thinking, here's point A and here's where I want to get to, sometimes there's all these little small wins in between and we're not willing to celebrate them because we just want to be here, right? We just want to be at point B. We're at point A, we want to be at point B. You must celebrate the wee milestones in between, right? They're worth celebrating. They do motivate. And the process is to be enjoyed. Okay? So celebrate all the small wins. When I'm looking at your progress photos every 4 weeks, I don't know if it's just because I've got a keen eye for this stuff, but I'm going to see stuff that most people don't see, right? Because they just want to see point B, the transformed version of yourself. I'm going to see your glutes getting thicker, right? I'm going to look at your back and see that there's less folds on your back because you've lost fat off your back, right? And I will be celebrating that, and you should too. Okay. And I think the clients who do that the most often get the best results. They celebrate the small wins, okay? And they keep celebrating the small wins, and eventually the small wins become big wins. If we don't celebrate the small wins and we don't recognise it as progress, are we going to be able to hang on and hold out for that big transformation? Maybe not, right? So you must celebrate all the small wins that add up. Okay, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes, and I want to ask you what stood out for you the most about what we've been through so far. You can have a wee think about it. Okay.
Probably the side of things where it's not always going to be the same journey. So I've obviously done the same thing for a year and a half consistently, whereas this is completely different. So you're going to go up, you're going to go down. You're going to maybe take your foot off the gear when you're doing something, and that's completely sound. Like, you're not going to hammer it all the time. You can't hammer it all the time. As long as you don't put it down when you're not hammering it, you'll be totally sound.
Exactly. So we shift down the gears, but we don't hit the fuck it button and park the car and jump it. Right? The car keeps moving. And it's important that you just consciously shift down the gears, and you're happy with that, and you recognise it, and you know why you're doing it, and you don't beat yourself up for it, right? Kyle, anything for you? Anything that stood out for you the most so far?
Yeah, probably the most relatable would be the having to make the tough choices, and when to get involved in social events and things like that. I'm a lot more relaxed about it now that I'm saying no to a lot more things, just simply because I know it's not the right environment for me, and I actually feel I don't want to, simply because I don't want to offset what I have been doing and the progress that I've made. So that, coupled with shifting down the gears as well, is probably a good way of looking at it, because there has been times where I have been out, maybe choosing the one out of the 5 events, going, I'll pick that one, and then I'll still have some drinks, but I'm more conscious of what I'm drinking. I'm not just sitting drinking loads of pints of beer. I'm on the spirit with the diet, sodas, etc., and not going for the takeaway at the end of the night and things like that. So yeah, still socialising, but just reducing a bit of the intensity, maybe that what I'm doing currently. So I'd say that, mate.
Okay, thank you. And you raise a great point about saying no more often. It has to be done. There's just no way about it. It has to be done. I don't know why, but and I'm saying no a lot more often than I used to. I feel like I'm probably naturally a very giving person, but you give away too much, and I don't know whether it's a case of you're just protecting your energy when you say no more often. And I think as well, when you're saying no more often, you're not diverting your energy into other stuff. So your energy's not going everywhere. It's focused on what you want, which for most of you guys, obviously, at the moment is like a body transformation, right? It's not getting your energy's not getting dispersed around all this different stuff that's getting in the way. And like you said, Kyle, it doesn't mean you say no to every social event, because that would just be ridiculous. But when you do turn up, you make a few better choices, you get off the pints, you go into the clear spirits. And that's all it is picking your battles a wee bit better and then making a wee bit better choices. Good.
The people thing as well kind of resonated with me quite a lot. Like, when I started this, obviously a year and a half ago, with like losing weight in general, I done it with a really good mate of mine. And And when I said I was doing this, she was like, and why? Like, you find some people are a bit dickish about it. Like, oh, but you look great, you've lost weight. And I'm like, I'm not doing it for anyone else bar me. Like, I've chose to do it. Like, support me, don't be a dick about it. I've chose to do it for my reasons. And I
Yeah,
do find that some people are a bit salty about it down the line. I'm like, well, you just sound like a knobhead, didn't you? Like, rather than supporting someone, being like, well, why? Like, that's not the way I would do it if it was my friend. But there is folk like that I've found quite consistently throughout this.
yeah, 100%. I've found it many, many times. I don't know why people are like that. It's not me, and it's obviously not the environment in as one. But I don't know, just when you've got goals and you want to change, it seems to scare some people. I don't know what it is. It's weird. We need to protect ourselves from that, and we need to stay in, be in as one, and or any other coaching program a decent coaching program, by the way. I'm not just saying as one, but in a community where we don't treat people like that. And as I say, I don't know why people are like that, but they just are. They consistently are. Okay. Any other questions before we break off here? Nothing. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I hope that's helpful to you. It's quite insightful. There'll be a recording of it on your accounts. I can't imagine that you would want to sit through the whole of that thing again, but it will be on there as a reference point, and the slides will be on there as well. So if you need to look back through these slides and look at anything about mindset around the transformation or anything like that, then it will be on your record in the app. Okay, so we'll break it off there. Have a great weekend. Check in Sunday for Kyle. Chelsea, I think you're going to give me a body weight, and then your first official check-in's the week after, all right?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Have a great weekend. See you later.
Catch you later, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.